I have been missing Japan so much lately, and I can't really put my finger on why. I mean, there's just so many things that I miss about it. The culture, my friends, the places we could go, like the arcade, the train system, and how convenient it was that I don't have to drive around everywhere. But I think the thing I miss the most is the Japanese food. And so today we're gonna be ranking Japanese food based on how good it is.
MATOKA が参ります。ご注意ください。
Hey friends, what's good? So yes, today we're going to be ranking Japanese food just because it feels like such a long time that I've had traditional Japanese food. Now luckily I live in a place, the Bay Area, where there is a lot of access to Asian food. We have pretty authentic Vietnamese food, pretty authentic Chinese food, pretty authentic Korean food. Most Asian cultures, at least, we have good representation. And not to say that we don't have Japanese food either. Yes, we do. But come on, guys. I am not here for the chicken teriyaki, the salmon teriyaki, sushi that has, you know, the mayonnaise, the cream cheese, literally all this stuff that's not necessary. I'm not about that. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. It's not that I'm not all about it. I enjoy it, but I don't think it's necessarily Japanese food. I think it's a fusion of Japanese and American cuisine. So in order for me to reminisce about authentic Japanese food and also to educate you guys if you are unfamiliar with some Japanese dishes, I'm going to be doing a tier list of the Japanese food, the authentic in Japan Japanese food that I really like, or maybe don't like. We'll see. So let's get started. Now first on the list is Sukiyaki. And I think it's a little hard to differentiate Sukiyaki from other things, especially shabu shabu. From my understanding, because I'm no expert, I'm no professional, Sukiyaki has a different type of broth, and the meat is more lean rather than shabu shabu, where the meat is fattier and the broth is a little lighter. Sukiyaki broth is like a soy sauce and sugar blend more often. Now, while I was living in Japan, usually sukiyaki and shabu shabu went hand in hand. So if you're going to a restaurant, they would offer both. It would be a sukiyaki. You could get a sukiyaki broth or you could get a shabu shabu broth, but it was kind of an all-in-one. And a lot of the places were tabe hodai, which is all you can eat. So for me personally, it's a little hard to differentiate each one just because they're usually kind of in combinations when you go out to restaurants. If I'm choosing between sukiyaki and shabu shabu, I would usually go with shabu shabu. So I'm putting sukiyaki at a B tier. I think B is pretty fair. And let me just point out, there is no F tier because there is no Japanese food that is F tier. That is facts. Now, the next dish is donburi. So maybe you've heard of gyudon, butadon, tamagodon. It's basically a dish over rice. So it could be a fried meat with egg, and usually there's also onions in it as well. Usually one of the cheapest dishes in Japan, to be honest. There's a lot of what I would say like fast food chains that offer this, and you're paying less than $5 for a set meal of this. Personally, I didn't have it that much just because I'm not saying like I'm a food elitist or anything like that, but it's not necessarily my like go-to fast food favorite dish. And if I was going to go out to dinner, it was usually with friends, so we want to kind of treat ourselves, right? So we wouldn't go to a super cheap place. For me, it's between a B and a C because it's not high-end eating food really. I'm gonna put this at a C. If I have no money and I need food, it's a B. If I have money, I don't necessarily know if I want to eat that, so it's a C. Next is gyoza. I think most people know gyoza. It's dumplings. They're fried instead of boiled, like on the bottom. So it has like a crunchy texture, and this is very like izakaya food. So you have gyoza and you drink your beer or your whiskey or whatever your drink of preference is, and it's just a really nice snack. It's easy to make too. You can get in the frozen section, still pretty damn good. So this is going at an A for sure. Then we have soba. So honestly, soba is my least favorite of the noodle family in Japanese cuisine. Usually people will eat soba for the New Year's because it brings in good luck. Soba is buckwheat noodle, so it's a little different from like the ramen noodle noodle. From what I remember, it's usually pulled on a plate and then there's a dipping sauce and you dip your noodles in and you eat it like that. I'm pretty sure this is also the one where, like, I don't know if you've seen the like there's a water slide and then you use your chopsticks to get the noodles out. I think it's usually with buckwheat noodles, but I could be wrong.
MATOKA, you are incorrect. The water slide noodle is called onagashi somen. They use shin wheat noodle called somen. So you are wrong. Shame on you.
Personally not my favorite, so I'm gonna say let's put it at a C tier for me. But it has a lot of cultural significance, so it's not something that's bad. And then we have kare. That translates to curry, but you know, the Japanese pronunciation is kare. Japanese curry is actually very popular. Actually, just a lot of curries in general are pretty popular. Indian curry, you can actually find a lot of Indian curry places in Tokyo as well. But Japanese curry is more mild for sure. It has a sweeter taste, and it usually goes and pairs well with a katsu of some sort, like a tonkatsu or a chicken katsu. There's a lot of places that are cheaper, so it's like fast food Japanese curry, which I like just as much as more expensive Japanese curry as well. But it's just that comfort food and it makes you feel good, and I have to give this an S. Like, Japanese curry is legit, and if you haven't tried it, I highly suggest that you try it. Now, of course, it pairs well with katsu, which is the next one, and I'm automatically putting this at an S. If you don't know what katsu is, it's like a breaded either chicken or pork or beef, and it's just really good. Usually they use panko crumbs, which are like breadcrumbs, and so it's a breadcrumb with a very tender meat filling. It varies from the price and quality as well in Japan, so you can just go to a regular curry shop and get a katsu there, or there's a lot of high-end katsu places as well. The meat is a lot more tender, the crust is a lot more crunchy. Fucking amazing. It's so good. The next one, you probably seen me eat it in the video, which I'll link like right over here somewhere. It is natto, and obviously natto is not my favorite, probably my least favorite out of everything that I have here. It's fermented soybeans. It's probably known as one of the foods that most people don't like. Foreigners for sure, even a lot of Japanese people don't like it. I even talked to my Japanese friend because we were grocery shopping together, and he got it for breakfast for the next day, and I was like, do you even like this? And he was like, no, but I know it's healthy, and so that's why most people eat it. And it is fermented food, of course. Help that gut as much as you can, because that's what's gonna save your life one day. But whether life-saving or not, I have to go upon the flavor and the smell, which is both stinky feet, and that for sure is a D. Next, we have something that you guys might not be as familiar with. It is oden, and it's basically a bunch of like fish cakes, roots, there's like noodle things, there's just a lot of things, and it's boiled in this pot, and they actually sell it a lot of times at convenience stores, or a lot of people make it at home, so it's kind of like a hot pot in a sense, but the ingredients are much more natural. Personally, I don't like love it, because where's the meat? Like, man's gotta have protein, right? Like, we're pumping up, we're getting swole. I'm gonna put oden at C, not necessarily my favorite. Next, we have okonomiyaki, which is more of a popular dish in the south of Japan. Each province kind of has their own way, their own spin of making it, but Osaka and Kyoto are mostly known for this personally. A lot of people call it a seafood pancake or a Japanese pancake. So usually there's octopus in it. It's kind of the same feel as takoyaki, except it's in pancake form. There's either noodles or cabbage or kind of whatever you want to put in it, some kind of meat as well, and then it's topped with mayonnaise and a very sweet kind of Worcestery sauce. Now this, as well as takoyaki, are one of those more sweet but savory kind of things that for me, like my mouth, it does not meld well together, so it's personally not my favorite. So I'm gonna put this as a C as well. I don't know, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's personally not my style. Next, we have onigiri, which is rice balls. You usually get these at the convenience store. They're fast, they're easy, they taste pretty damn good. Like, the convenience stores know how to keep the rice and everything fresh, and also like prepare it so it's easy on the go. Obviously, I have to put this very high because how many rice balls did I consume in Japan? Probably 40 times my weight. So I'm putting it at an A for sure. Next, we have all-time favorite. Everyone knows it. Naruto loves it. It's ramen. And I think I'm wearing a ramen shirt. Look at that. Obviously, my all-time favorite Japanese food for sure. It's just easy. It's on the go. Flavor is like always there. It gives you the best pork, I think. And then there's so many styles too. They have the in soup. You can get the sukumen, which is like the noodle on the side, and then the dipping sauce. I highly suggest trying sukumen as well as ramen if you go to Japan. I don't really know many places in California that do a sukumen ramen. All of them are usually just regular ramen, and they're all super overpriced, and I just can't. But nevertheless, ramen is S tier for sure. Then of course we have the classic sashimi. Everyone knows sashimi. I don't love all types of sashimi, but the ones that I do, I love. So this of course has to go in S as well. If you can get a buttery slice of salmon, that like 100% makes my day. I know people have some qualms about eating raw fish, but you know, I think if it's well prepared, if it's fresh, and you know, I usually love having a soy sauce with wasabi as well. Like all of it pairs very well, and personally, I've never had any issues with raw fish or food poisoning or anything like that. Then we have shabu shabu, which I'm immediately putting at A tier. I explained it before. Shabu shabu, hot pot, tabe hodai, so usually all you can eat, and it's always pretty solid. I highly recommend doing some shabu shabu when you go to Japan, just because, you know, for all you can eat too, it's usually a pretty good deal. Then we have sushi, also straight up goes to S tier. I don't think I need to explain sushi to you guys. I'm a little disappointed in America sushi. Grocery store sushi in America sucks, first of all. And second of all, like, there's always these like specialty rolls, which, yeah, I'm a consumer as well. I enjoy them. I like them. It's fine. But they don't make you feel as fresh as regular sushi does. Like, I can't complain because I eat them, but it's still like I'm complaining a little bit. Next, we have takoyaki, which I'm putting on the same level as okonomiyaki. I don't know, guys. Takoyaki is so popular, and yet I can't will myself to like it. Like, I just can't be a basic bitch for some reason, and I've tried my hardest. I went down to Osaka. I tried to eat the okonomiyaki. They have a okonomiyaki sandwich, which is between two crackers, and I tried that as well, just like willing myself to like it, but alas, I could not do it. That's the only regret that I have from living in Japan, that I could not will myself to like takoyaki. Then we have tempura, and specifically this is tempura from Japan. This is not tempura that is made in America. I have a big qualm about anyone who orders tempura in a Japanese restaurant in America. If it's a high-end restaurant, I can kind of see it, but if it's a mid or low-range Japanese restaurant, I already know that they don't do it right. The batter is just so thick, and especially in America, because I feel like people expect a thick crust because they think of like fried chicken and stuff like that too. That's not how it's supposed to be, guys. Tempura in Japan is actually a pretty high-end thing. You'll see it sometimes at udon places, and it's a little lower range. Like, if people are eating tempura, it's usually from high-end places in Ginza at a business meeting, that kind of feel. It's very expensive, but it's also very light. You feel healthier afterwards than even before you were eating it for some reason. I don't know how they do that, but I still have to appreciate tempura even though not having it a lot. Don't appreciate the American version. Sorry. If you really like American version tempura, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to harshly judge you a little bit. I'm gonna put tempura as an A as well. And then next we have udon. Udon usually has a pretty light broth. It's chewier, the noodles are thicker than what you'd find in ramen and soba, and it's just very refreshing. And it's also pretty cheap as well. It's like on the same level as donburi. And I'm gonna put this at a B, I would say, because if I have a choice between the three noodles, soba is last for sure, and then udon, and of course number one has to be ramen. Like, there's no question. Then we have unagi, which is also very high end. So it's freshwater eel, so it's a little fancy, I would say, but the taste is impeccable. very nice. Usually unagi restaurants are very fancy as well. It comes in very nice little boxes. Sometimes they fry it in front of you as well. It's a whole experience. So I'm gonna put this as an A as well. I think most things on A, like the tempura and the unagi, like they're very good, but they're just a little too expensive. And then the gyoza and the rice balls, like they're good, but they're a little too cheap. And finally, we have yakitori. Now, this is the closest thing that you're going to get to chicken teriyaki in Japan. I don't ever remember seeing chicken teriyaki in a menu or anywhere in Japan, actually. So it's very much an American or like Japanese American fusion spin-off on some other dishes for sure. But you would find yakitori in a lot of izakayas, so like drinking places. It's more of an appetizer or a small dish where you get a bunch of small dishes while you're drinking. You have banter with your friends, you drink some more. It's not like you're getting the best of the best cut of meat or anything like that, but it always pairs very well with your drinks, with your beer, with your whiskey soda, with whatever you want. It just brings around the whole experience of being in an izakaya for sure. So I'm gonna put this as an A, and I think that is our completed list. So yeah, there are things that are familiar on this list. There are things that you might not be familiar with. Maybe it's a little more traditionally Japanese. Next time you want to go to Japan after the pandemic is over and people are actually allowed in Japan, right? You'll be able to look at some of the things that I personally suggest, some things that I personally don't suggest. Pretty much the only thing I don't suggest is in the D tier, the natto. People do like the super spicy hot noodle challenge because it's an experience, not necessarily because they're like, oh, these noodles are bomb and I really want to try them. I think natto is more or less the same kind of thing, so I will leave it to you if you want to try that. But everything else on the list, I recommend that you at least try once. You'll probably like it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you've tried, what you haven't tried, what you think about my tier list, and what would you rank in Japanese food as an S tier Japanese dish. Make sure to like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do that. I'll be completely honest when I say the subscriber count has been pretty stagnant for over a month now, I think. I don't think I've gotten past 1330 in a very long time. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe, share this video with your friends. Let's start a discussion about what kind of Japanese food you like, what you don't like, and I will see you next time. Peace.